Welcome to Akweya TV, the station that talks about history, art, culture, and how they relate to development. My name is Ijeola Asiwaju. Our historical focus today is on Bakassi Peninsula. Every individual, society, ethnic group, and nation is a product of some decision of some persons and happenings of many years ago, hence the essence of history. Akweya TV will be bringing to you series of shows focusing on history from different aspects of life and society. Stay with me, we'll be right back.
Hello guys, my name is Mary Ogbogo. I'm the most beautiful girl in Abuja Ambassador. I'm from Benue State, Otukbo, Otobi. Please keep watching Akweya TV and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you.
The story of the tussle over the ownership of oil-rich Bakassi Peninsula between Nigeria and Cameroon was settled many years ago by the International Court of Justice. But the ruling and what happened in Bekasi will never be forgotten. It has changed the destiny of some persons and perhaps the nation forever. Recall that on the 10th of October 2002, the International Court of Justice determined that Cameroon was the rightful owner of the peninsula in Bekasi. There was at least 300,000 Nigerians. At the time, they made up 90% of the population. The conflict was a boundary and territorial dispute, the Bakassi Peninsula being the most contested. Attempts were made in the past to resolve the dispute through bilateral negotiations. In 1981, 1993, 1994, and 1996, the dispute nearly escalated to war. The land boundary between Nigeria and Cameroon extends for 2,062 kilometers from the Lake Chad in the north to the Gulf of Guinea in the south. According to a history written by Noah Omaigoi, the Obong of Calabar voluntarily signed a treaty of protection with the British in 1884, who eventually ceded it to Germany. When the Obong of Calabar signed a treaty of protection with Britain on September 10, 1884, Britain agreed to extend its protection to Obong and his chief. The Obong agreed and promised to refrain from entering any agreement or treaties with foreign nations or powers without the prior approval of the British. That is, he signed away his kingdom as a British protectorate. This type of subterfuge was carried out with many of our ancestors. All of this was done before Nigeria was created. Epiphany Azinge, who was part of the legal team that handled the Bakassi case, was discussing during a program chat on Channels Television, said Nigeria lost Bakassi due to faulty flawed documentation. Akweya TV had a guest that carried out an explicit discussion on the issue of Bakassi. Professor Emeritus Anthony Ijeola Asiwaju. Professor Asiwaju holds the opinion that Bakassi never belonged to Nigeria. Professor, who was a commissioner, International Boundary Commission, at the time of Bakassi tussle, undertook some journeys and research to ascertain the legal stand of Nigeria in the ownership of Bakassi Peninsula. His findings, however, did not favor Nigeria.
So, you talk about treaties, you talk about naval charts, you talk about maps, you talk about all forms of cartographic evidence. The position of Bekasi was on the German side. So there were arguments and arguments about the validity of these treaties and so on and so forth. But the treaties are the treaties. So that is why, I mean, seeing that, I knew that as an historian, but in my duty as Commissioner International Boundaries of Nigeria's National Boundary Commission, we were commissioned. We were commissioned in 1989, 1990 to go on specific research of documents. And I headed the working team. We went to Paris. We went to London, Southampton. We went to Berlin. We went and we saw and we collected data. We came back home. We worked in National Archives in Ibadan, National Archives in Enugu, National Archives in Calabar. Then we went on field work, collecting oral data from our people, and we did a report. Indeed, the report of that group was the first business of the federal military government when the council chamber, each time I saw it on television, I felt some measure of nostalgia that we were the first to use this chamber. And General Babangida was in the chair, and we presented this report and argued that because the evidences are not in our favor. Remember, this was 1990.
Yes.
Because the evidences are not in our favor, we should take the initiative
And go to The Hague.
and go to The Hague, but we will not seek litigation because litigation is not going to favor us. Our recommendation, based on the advice of the technical men, the lawyers in our midst, was that Nigeria should choose arbitration.
Nigerians who make up 90% of Bakassi dwellers were in charge of administration. Although Professor Asiwaju is of the opinion that Bakassi never belonged to Nigeria because of the evidences from the treaties, the maps, the archive.
Administering the southern, just as in administering the north. In administering the north, the northern Cameroon, it remains, you see, I must also quickly make this point. Although they shared the German territories among themselves, the Allied powers. In the case of Cameroon, as I said earlier, the Western Cameroon was taken over by
The British.
the Eastern by the French. So, as a result of the outcome of the First World War, Cameroon suffered a second partition. This time between the Allied powers. But even the areas that fell into the hands of Allied powers was not to be administered as their regular colony. The one outcome of the First World War was the creation of the League of Nations. The League of Nations was the oversight power, the oversight authority on these territories. So the British Cameroon, South, North, was administered by Britain under the aegis, overall aegis, international aegis of the League of Nations. But you are free to administer the area allotted to you as you think fit. So in the south, southern Cameroon was administered as part of eastern Cameroon, of eastern Nigeria, eastern region. Northern Cameroon was administered as part of northern Nigeria. But the overall authority was the League of Nations. Whatever the British did, whatever the French did on their own side, was under the overarching supervision of the League of Nations. Post-World War, independence movement, Nigeria became independent in 1960. Cameroon also in 1960. Okay, and at that point, the German, the French side of Cameroon was retained as an integral unit. So the French granted it independence. We were also granted independence in 1960. But there remains what happens to the southern Cameroon, northern Cameroon in Nigeria.
Owned by the League of Nations.
Owned by the League of Nations. That was what brought about the plebiscite that you were talking earlier.
Yeah.
When you say that, but we were administering the place, yes, you were administering the place under a certain condition. That condition was reversed.
According to Femi Falana, Section 12 of the Nigerian Constitution says, no treaty signed between Nigeria and another country can come into force without a domestication or enactment into law by the National Assembly. He said that the National Assembly rejected the treaty. Falana therefore described the handing over of Bakassi to Cameroon as a height of executive lawlessness. Thanks for staying with us, and do please share the stories and subscribe to our channel.